Pregame.com.
Tennessee plus 3.5 at Pittsburgh. Sunday NFL. Got to tell you, Marco, I'm back on the Steeler bandwagon, baby. This line's crazy.
There's a lot of room on the bandwagon. It's pretty empty right now.
That's like Warren Buffett says, you want to be greedy when other people are scared, and you want to be scared when other people are greedy. You just think about that for a second.
Okay.
Love Pittsburgh here. You got a team that certainly is underperformed, no doubt about it. Certainly is not one of the 5 or 6 best teams in the league. You never know what's going to happen. I mean, the year they won in 2005, they lost 5 games in a row at one point. The fact of the matter is, do I recall that right? Yeah, they lost 5 in a row, didn't they, that year?
4 or 5.
They had to win the last 3.
Right, they had to win out to get there.
Yeah. And so I'm not even worried about the Super Bowl. I'm worried about Week 5 right now. And what I know here is this. One is Jonathan Scott's their left tackle is supposed to be back. Their right guard is back. And we're taping here on Wednesday. Early today, they signed Max Starks. Are you aware of that?
Mm-hmm.
You sure?
Sure.
All right. Max Starks is back. Now, they said he took half the snaps in practice this week. Now, Max Starks was, not a Pro Bowler, but a really good left tackle, got hurt last year, came to camp, bunch of weight on. This week, not so much, but I think, I don't know. They said he took half the snaps in practice, so who knows what's going to happen. But they got 2 linemen returned and another backup in Starks. And what's the big news right now is Harrison's hurt, okay? And the fact of the matter is that's going to hurt us a little bit, but Harrison hasn't played great this year. All right, so I consider that to be a true negative, and I'm not going to try to dismiss that. But 3.5, you're saying Pittsburgh is only slightly better than Tennessee right now?
Well, there's definitely an overreaction, and the thing is, now I know you watched the game last week. I watched the game. It was a national feed, so most people, should have seen the game. That score of 17-10 really wasn't indicative of the game. It should have been worse.
I disagree. I totally disagree. If you would have said at halftime, should the score have been worse? I would agree with you 100%. But Pittsburgh dominated the second half. And I give Houston a ton of credit. They needed one drive, and they got it. And Pittsburgh got the ball with a minute 50 or whatever left, couldn't score, just like in the Super Bowl. I'm not saying Houston shouldn't have won the game, but I tell you right now, after the first quarter, and again, you can always slice things up. But if you say from the beginning of the second quarter to the 8-minute mark of the game, Pittsburgh dominated more that game than Houston did.
They did, but what I was alluding to is if Houston didn't make the mistakes that they made.
Well, Pittsburgh had a field goal blocked. Ben had Brown wide open for a touchdown on the series where they blocked the field goal. And again, Ben makes that throw most of the time, though. Actually, it was the same thing in the Super Bowl. He missed one of those throws, when going to the left, to the corner, or whatever. So my point is, now listen, Johnson got hurt for Houston, really slowed their defense down. Every game, there's all kind of factors. But the fact of the matter is, I thought Pittsburgh played quite well, really after the first quarter.
For a team that was getting blown off the ball the beginning of that game, to regroup and get back in the game. Yeah, I thought Pittsburgh was going to end up winning the game whenever they tied it up.
Exactly. So how can you lose by 7 and you say?
But I'm saying if Houston doesn't have the mental mistakes, there would have been a bigger score that Pittsburgh would have been in a bigger deficit.
That's the first time I've seen Pittsburgh have a field goal blocked in 5 years.
Yeah, but
everything. So
the penalties that stopped the drive, they had a touchdown called back on a penalty. There's a lot of things.
A lot of different ways to go. You watch that game. Well, let me ask you a question. If that game's played over again, what's the line?
If the game's played over again, I think the line's the same that it was.
Right. So,
maybe a half a point higher at tops.
Well, I think it's a half a point lower if it's any way myself. So,
but my one concern that I have, and I agree with you, they're going to get the offensive line shored up. And if you did notice in that third quarter, one of the things that they did that helped when they came out and they started moving the ball a little more consistently is they came in with double tight end set to help that offensive line with the blocking. But
I mean, the reality is they had 2 linemen out. Both those linemen are back, and now they have probably their second best lineman in theory, Max Starks,
Right.
who's back.
I didn't like it when they cut him.
Well,
when they
but
cut him
now
in
they're
his-
getting him for $800,000 instead of $6 million or whatever it is. So it's all worked out.
Okay.
All right.
One thing that concerns me, we've drilled down about the offensive line at nauseum. The big concern I've had is 2 running backs this year have gashed the Steeler defense, and we have we haven't seen that.
But that's the question. If the debate is, are the Steelers one of the best run defenses in the last 25 years? That was the conversation we were having last year. That's not a conversation anymore. To me, Pittsburgh might have the 7th, 8th, 9th best run defense in the league. They're still in the top half, but I agree that the night and day element of Pittsburgh now on run defense from last year is as extreme. I'm shocked. I couldn't be more shocked.
But see,
But laying 3.5 to Tennessee, you don't have to be a historically good run defense.
You don't have to be, but against these teams that do have a premier running back
Now
now,
Tennessee has not run at all this year.
Because
we
of
can
the
talk
holdout
about the
with
guy who's on
Johnson
ESPN and Johnson and all that and 2,000 yards and all that crap. Guy hasn't done anything yet. I don't look at the Tennessee running attack and get scared.
with this week I'm not. I'm talking Pittsburgh
But
in
we're
a
not
capsule.
talking. That's an interesting podcast we can do. This week,
Mm-hmm.
laying 3.5 to Tennessee, I think there's a ton of value on Pittsburgh. Overreaction. It's going to be one of my bigger bets of the week.
Right now, I'm on the fence, and I'll make a decision if I'm going to play the game on Sunday or not. You're a little more optimistic in the Steelers than I am at this point. I've got concerns with the Steelers.
I got
right
huge
now.
concerns. It's just this is the perfect week where there's been a draft. And the whole Big Ben injury thing, he's always injured. Ben's as tough as they come, but he doesn't mind milking it when he's hurt. Let's just say that. He likes to limp off the field.
That offensive line got to protect him because he's been on his back more than a Vegas hooker. Let me tell you this season.
So you do realize that when you tweet something, you shouldn't use it again on video.
Well, when it's good.
When you get a line that even gets a chuckle, you want to use it 8 or 9 times.
Probably I'll have it on the radio
It's
show
like
too.
it's like the guy that finally got laid in high school, and every time he sees her at the party, he's like, "Yeah, I fucked her."
Is that what you did?
Me? Me?
I had to throw one in there. I got him quite speechless. You want me to close it
There's
out?
just so many directions to go. I mean, we could say do a close-up. We could do anything right now. But I'm going to rise above
You're
it.
going to rise above it? Okay.
And we don't want you killing over. Lordy be. Only if we could have a robotic close-up right now. All right, guys. We went a little long on that one, but that's what these Steeler ones are. We got 2 big Pittsburgh fans. We're really going to dig into the game. Say it again? Oh, my projection is, I'm just, whatever the number, I'm laying 3.5.
Thanks, Dustin.
We'll be back. More videos at pregame.tv.